It starts with me. I got to be better. I got to distribute the ball better, get rid of it. We got to be able to stay ahead of the chains and all those things. But like I said, it starts with me, and we'll get it fixed.
Max?
Yep.
Who had the more disappointing performance, Brady or Wentz?
Wentz. Wentz was more disappointing than Brady because Wentz should be ascending. Brady, do you know how Brady is so... Frank Sinatra once sat down in that chair. I said, Frank, you hang out with Tom Brady. How old is he? He said Tom Brady's 137 years old. Tom Brady is not supposed to be good anymore. And he really hasn't been. He's been better than he ought to be, has any right to be at his age. But he's not, like when you talk about the MVP candidate, it's not Tom Brady. And by the way, the Eagles defense played their hearts out yesterday. But Carson Wentz through 13 games a couple of years ago. I mean, they were both MVP candidates a couple of years ago. They met in the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz through 13 games was the MVP over Tom Brady, I thought, and didn't finish healthy. He's in the middle of his physical prime. What is this level of regression? In addition to a lot of just bad throws, he had that horrible fumble strip sack that gave the Patriots that field position. By the way, the Eagles defense limited them to a field goal because, as I said, they played their hearts out. It was two good defenses last night. I understand that. But if you're saying who was more disappointing, the 137-year-old who won the game or the guy in his prime who wasn't any good and, by the way, hasn't been good for a while. Stephen A., I'm a Carson Wentz fan. I was a Carson Wentz fan. I thought, of all the young guys, if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, boy, we'd be talking about Carson Wentz. No, we're not. He was more disappointing.
To my answers, neither of them. When I look at Carson Wentz, how many dropped passes are we going to see? Nelson Aguilar dropped a game-time touchdown pass at the end. It's emblematic of what he's been dealing with all season long. By the way, they only rushed for 81 yards, and Sanders was your leading rusher with 11 carries for 38 yards. That's problematic for the Philadelphia Eagles. On the side of Tom Brady looked completely ticked off in that press conference, and I don't blame him. To be 42 years old, to be a six-time champion, a guy that guided this team to 9 Super Bowls with the great Bill Belichick giving you this defense. Why do you think that as much of a headache as Antonio Brown was, Tom Brady welcomed him with open arms, even offered to give him a spot at his pad, at his crib? Tom Brady, I mean, this is a guy that's being accused of assault now, and Tom Brady still wanted this dude in his home with his wife and kids and said, you know what, let him come here. Why? Because at 42, he's looking at the talent that he's got to work with. He's like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. I mean, your best receiver is your slot guy in Edelman. You've got no you've got no outside threats whatsoever. The level of talent that he and the Patriots are bereft of has put him in such an incredibly disadvantaged position. You actually find yourself, if it were not for all the championships and all the trips, you actually find yourself feeling sorry for them, even though they're 9-1.
That's why it's incredible what he's doing, Stephen A. But the fact is, let's get this straight. Let's not get it bent here. Beginning of his career, Tom Brady couldn't take no protection and no outside speed and do much with it, right? He was much more of a game manager. He hit a peak that he kept for so many years where it didn't matter almost the protection and the speed. That's not the case anymore.
That is your assessment. That is not mine.
Okay.
But he hasn't had protection, he hasn't had receivers, and he hasn't produced.
We got a couple other NFL topics to get to.
I say when they're 9-1.
It's a battle of the AFC West teams looking to get going when the Chiefs and Chargers face off in Mexico City tonight. KC comes off a loss to the Titans and the Chargers off a loss to the Raiders. Kansas City, a 4-point favorite, but they've got some catching up to do after being without Mahomes for a few weeks, and clearly their defense is vulnerable. Stephen A., can Mahomes overcome the Chiefs' defense for a Super Bowl run?
For a Super Bowl run, yes. For a Super Bowl appearance, no. This defense is going to have to show up at some point to deal with the likes of Lamar Jackson and obviously Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, because based on the way things are going, the road to the Super Bowl is going to have to go through Foxborough, and we've all seen the Patriots be a different team in Foxborough. So when I look at when I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, I think about Patrick Mahomes, I think about Tyreek Hill, I think about Travis Kelce, but I also think about a team last year that was potent offensively, just like they're potent this year. And it wasn't enough when it really, really counted. We could talk about plays here and there, but the bottom line is that offenses at some point in time stale, even in Kansas City's case, if it was just for a first half, like it was in the AFC Championship game. Your defense has got to be able to get stops. And right now, we haven't seen the Kansas City Chiefs stop a cold. That's my reservation.
But that was the case last year, as you pointed out. And I'll say this. Yes, they can make a Super Bowl run, and they could win the Super Bowl even this year, even with that atrocious defense and the bad run defense, the whole thing. Look, you don't pick one team against the field in the NFL. And so if the Chiefs lose, it will clearly, surely be because of their defense. That much is true. But could they win the Super Bowl like this? Last year, one pre-snap penalty away from going to the Super Bowl. And based on what I saw in the Super Bowl, I think the Chiefs would have won that game. Right? One pre-snap penalty away. The defense was awful then. It was terrible.
You don't think the defense took a step back?
Maybe, like, it's hard to imagine it being much worse. But, yeah, so far it has been worse. You would expect that they could only play better than they played so far. And I think that Mahomes is special enough and those offensive weapons are special enough, even without Kareem Hunt, that they could win a Super Bowl this year. Look, when you look at the AFC, there are three teams.
Not with the teams in the AFC, not with the teams in the NFC. You've got to go against whether it's San Francisco, New Orleans, Green Bay. You're
defense.
not beating one of those teams without a defense.
But they have the kind of offense where you blink and they're up 2 touchdowns. So they have a puncher's chance even against those.
Here on this Monday morning. How about you? And look at this treat. Rex Ryan in the building.
I think you get it. You know, it's a big treat, I'm sure, for you guys. Yeah, right.
It is. Good to have you, Coach.
Good to see you, Coach.
Stephen
Good to
A.
be
Max,
here.
how was the weekend, guys?
What's up? How you doing? I'm good.
We good?
I'm
Good.
Coach, see you get one too.
I was going to folol up with the hook on you there, Max.
No,
wish you
I
did.
don't throw hooks like this one. That's why my shoulders are intact.
Nobody does.
We got a few things to discuss. Shall we do it?
Yeah,
All right. We
do it.
all circled the matchup between first place AFC teams and two of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the league. What we didn't expect is a one-sided affair, but that's actually what happened. Lamar Jackson has 25 total touchdowns on the season to just 5 interceptions. He's put up 788 rush yards through 10 games. Mark Ingram is all sorts of hyped up after that beatdown on yesterday.
Now I would just like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend, the MVP front runner. If anybody else got to say something different about that, then come see me. I'm right here in B-More outside the bank. If you got an issue with that, come see me. I'm about that. Big trust. Woo woo. Lamar Jackson in the flesh. Yes, sir. Big trust.
I'd rather throw on than run it. You know, like I said before, since I'm a running back, you know, they're going to still say whatever they're going to say. But, yeah, we just going to keep doing us, you know, each and every week, keep building. It's a brotherhood going on here, and we just feeling great right now. Just keep it going.
I didn't know Ingram was such a hype man. And how about that T-shirt? That's classic.
Hey,
right?
I was on a USO tour with Mark Ingram. He is an unbelievable guy. The only thing that could tackle him was a dog that slammed him, but other than that, you know. But you know what's great, though? You see, when you're around special teams, man, they have it. They talk like this. And that's what you're seeing from this Baltimore
And you see the
Ravens
energy
team.
and the chemistry. Max, I want to start with you here. Is Lamar Jackson the clear-cut MVP favorite?
He is at this point, yes. Right now, if you had to give out the MVP, you have to give it to Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes has missed time. Aaron Rodgers was up and down. And at one point, he was trending up, and he's not really in that conversation right now. And it's between, and by the way, Deshaun Watson was, but we saw what just happened. So it's between him and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's on a bye, so like we're thinking about Lamar Jackson right now. What Coach just said is true. What you see, what Mark Ingram's saying, that his teammates obviously love him. Like, does part of that have to do with the coach, the organization? Yes, of course it does. Right? Orlovsky can talk about the 3 tight end set, and Coach can talk about the organization and everything. All that stuff plays, it's a team sport, so all that stuff plays into the value of a given player, in fact. But his teammates love him. They're playing together. The numbers at the very top are bunched closely. Like, you know, what is the statistical difference in terms of QBR between Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson? It's close, I get it. Lamar Jackson's team has been beating the brakes off teams. They've been getting better and better as the season goes on. The loss to the Browns, a funky kind of loss. I thought they might lose to the Browns. In fact, I called the Browns in that upset. You lose to the Chiefs in a close game earlier in the season. Again, when they're not the same team they are now. Got Marcus Peters, defense got better. But they just beat the living daylights out of the Seahawks, the Patriots, and the Texans.
Yeah, only by a combined, 65 points or something?
Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson outshone them. He outshined them. He's been better than these guys. He is at this. And by the way, then there's an added dimension, and Stephen A., I'll give it to you. He's set the football world on fire. As much as I love the new style of play and everything, there's an old